right, shalom, brothers and sisters.
Shalom.
All right, we're gonna, the lesson today, get your pens and papers out because I'm gonna give you some notes. We in Daniel the 4th chapter. You all know that. You all have read Daniel the 4th chapter. Okay, now, what I want to do, we're going to deal with Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian king. And we also going to go a little bit into the prophet Daniel as well. Now, check this out. When Daniel went into captivity under the Babylonians, Nebuchadnezzar came and he took the nobles, and he had the king Zedekiah in captivity. Well, the first deportation, Daniel went on the first deportation with the nobles. That was before Jerusalem fell. And Daniel went into captivity with 3 of his friends. Do anybody raise your hand if you know the name of his friends? They was in the furnace of fire. Yeah, did he tell you to raise your hand, brother? Now what you getting ready to say, you're going to get it wrong.
Names they gave them.
No, okay, well, I said what was their name? You giving me the names that they gave them. No, that's the name that they gave them now.
That's what I said, that's the name.
But what's their name?
I know the original.
Okay, then you had your hand up.
I was going to say that's the name.
Okay, raise your hands now. What was their names before they was given the Babylonian names? See, y'all in Daniel the 4th chapter? All y'all had to do is go over to the other chapters now.
Chapter 5 is in Daniel chapter 5. I forgot the name, but
the name was Mishael, Azariah, and Hananiah. Okay, but they was given the names of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They was given those Babylonians names, like Daniel was given the name of what? Belshazzar. And all those names was reference to Babylonian gods. You understand? Like Meshach, the god Sheshach, Nego, Rak. All those are Babylonian gods. See, that's what Nebuchadnezzar did, because when he took them into captivity, what he did, he started programming them, educating them into the Babylonian arts, into the Babylonian wisdom, to send them back over to what? To educate the other Israelites into the Babylonian way of life. See, that's what they did to us when we came over here in America, man. They programmed us. Okay, our name was John, Jack, and Bill, and all that, man. We totally forgot our language, totally forgot our God. Okay, the power of our true God. His name, don't even know his name. So even though Daniel and his friends' names was taken away and they was under the Babylonian name, that didn't stop the Most High from really dealing with them in their lives. See, even though they had those names, so those names was forced upon them, given to them. See, now a lot of us, okay, I don't have a Hebrew name. You know, that's what a lot of us would say. My name is Jerry or Steve and so forth. Hey, I ain't got no problem with that. But as a Hebrew Israelite, I would rather have a Hebrew name. Okay? Because if you read all the prophets, the end of their name or the beginning of their name had the Most High in it. Daniel, El. Ezekiel, El. Jeremiah, Nehemiah. They all had the Most High's name in it. Yahweh-Shaphat. Okay, Isaiah. See, Zechariah. All right, Joshua. They all had the Most High's name in it, or Yahushai, Yahshua. Yeah. So names mean something. Names have power to it, man. Names have an effect. Okay. So to lead you up to Daniel the 4th chapter, we're going to go into a little of the history in another class, but I'm going to give you a little bit of it. Now, when Nebuchadnezzar, you had the Babylonians and the Assyrians was at war. Okay, this was, I would say around a little bit in 623 BC. The Egyptian was involved in this war. And at the same time, you had Josiah was having the great Passover in 622 BC. All these wars going around, but Israel still had to do what they had to do because they was independent in their land. See, from Josiah was the last of the independence. When he died, the Egyptians came through, took Jehoahaz to Egypt as a captive. There was Josiah's son. See, because the Babylonians and the Assyrians was at war, and the Assyrians, they appealed to the Egyptians for help. Now, the Pharaoh Necho of the Egyptian was going to help the Assyrians. But what happened, he was going through the territory of who? Josiah, the king of Judah. You can read that in the book of Kings. See how Josiah got killed. But the king of Egypt said, look, Josiah, I have no problem with you. My beef is not with you. My beef is I'm going over here to help the Assyrians to fight against the Babylonians. See, that's when the Babylonians was coming into rulership now, and the Assyrians was going down. See, but Pharaoh Necho was going across Josiah's territory. Josiah had a problem with that. See, any man would have a problem with that, man. I mean, you come in my neighborhood, man. Who gets in my hood, man? On the block. You want to check that, man. Aren't you guys from over here? So you want to go see what's going on. But the king of Egypt said, Josiah, I have no problem with you, man. But Josiah didn't listen. He got into a battle with the Egyptians, Pharaoh Necho, and he ended up getting killed. And this was called the Battle of Megiddo. Write that down. The Battle of Megiddo. What I'm giving you, you go look it up, and we'll talk in another class. And this was in 609 BC, the Battle of Megiddo.
That's talked about in First Ezra.
Yeah, it speaks about that too in First Ezra. Yeah. Okay. You know, when you put it up, it's going to give the scriptures and everything. Now, when Josiah was killed, they put his son Jehoahaz up as the next ruler. Now, the Egyptians and the Babylonians and so forth is getting into warfare. The Egyptians came out the victor. Now, the Egyptian is going back to their home front. But at the same time, Pharaoh Necho said, well, I want to stop in Jerusalem because I got to talk to Jehoahaz, Josiah's son. Your father got involved in this battle. I want to talk to you about this now. I know your father's dead, but I want to talk to you his son. So Jehoahaz surrenders. And Pharaoh Necho take him a captive in Egypt. And he set his brother up, Jehoiakim, as a puppet. See how they was doing us, man? Mm-hmm. I mean, we was one of the top nation, the Most High's chosen. We was puppets to Egypt. We was puppets to the Babylonians and all that. But they set up Jehoiakim. Now later, it was a battle of Carchemish, when Nebuchadnezzar came back with a mighty military force. He had merged with the Medes. He had the Scythians part of his army. And he defeated the Egyptians. And with that defeat, Nebuchadnezzar turned, he was getting ready to attack the Egyptians now, go into Egypt and attack them. But he got word that his father, Nebuchadnezzar, right here, his father, Nebuchadnezzar, had died. Okay, you see the date? Okay. Nebuchadnezzar had died. And what happened, instead of Nebuchadnezzar pursuing Egypt, he had to get back to Babylon to claim the throne. You understand? He had to get back to Babylon to claim the throne. But instead of going straight, he stopped in Jerusalem, because he had to show up in person that he's a capable military leader. So he stopped in Jerusalem. He said, well, look, let me take some trophies. Let me take some spoils back with me so that people would know that I'm a legitimate military king, a military ruler. I can really lead them. So he stops by, talk with Jehoiakim, and now Jehoiakim pledged his allegiance to Nebuchadnezzar now. Because when you read in the scriptures, you will see where the Israelite kings was merging with the Egyptians, then they bounced back, merged with the Babylonians. So what Nebuchadnezzar did, he took Jehoiakim to Babylon. Then he took the nobles. Daniel was part of that, and Daniel's friends, 3 friends, was part of that deportation. So you had Jehoahaz, who was a king of Judah, was in prison and captive in Egypt. Now you got Jehoiakim and Daniel, they going into captive in Babylon now. See how messed up we were? The Most High really put it on us, man. So Nebuchadnezzar takes them into Babylon to solidify his throne. Everybody understand?
Yeah.
See, because he didn't do what we would do. If you tell a brother, hey brother, we got a position here for you. I mean, you're gonna be running the school next. The brother, can I come in next week? Can I text? Give a phone call. I can't make it. Can I come in next week? No, you got to be here right now. Well, I can't make it. You know, I'm doing something for the family. Can I come in? See, that's how we do things. But Nebuchadnezzar, his father passed. I got to go back. I got to go back and claim this throne. And I want to take some spoil with me. And this spoil is people. I want to take some of these Israelites with me to let them know that I am the man. Okay, so that's where we at now. I just gave you bits and pieces of it, but next class I'm going to give a whole layout of the Assyrian wars, the Egyptian wars, and how Nebuchadnezzar was battling the Assyrians, and how Nebuchadnezzar came into power. Okay? Okay? Now, this brings us to Daniel the 4th chapter now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He took the nobles when he went.
Yeah. Okay, now, give me a reader. Start from the first verse. We just gonna skip and jump through a few scriptures, okay?
Daniel chapter 4, verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you.
Come on.
I thought it good to show the sun.
Now start that verse again too.
I thought it good.
It said, I thought it good. Now who's speaking right here?
Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar speaking. He said, I thought it good. Read on.
I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high power hath wrought toward me.
He said, now I, a Babylonian king, a heathen king, he said, I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high God, the high power, have wrought towards me. Read on.
How great are his signs.
Now he said, how great are the Most High signs? That's Nebuchadnezzar. See, the Most High can break you down. Remember in the Apocrypha, what was that general's name? Holofernes? The Holofernes. When he went to rob the temple, and he seen the apparition.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And the angel on a horse, it said, a terrible rider. And the horse started kicking at him with his hoofs. And he went back to the king and said, look, man. The king said, well, what happened? He said, look, you don't want to go in there. And the king said, look, is there anybody that I can send to rob the treasures from the temple in Israel? Is there anybody here that I can send? You know, the guy wiped the sweat from his forehead. He said, look, somebody that you hate, someone that you hate, or a traitor. He said, send them. And consider them well scourged. Because you don't want, he said, if their God is with them, you don't want to go in there and try to do harm to them people. And that's what happened with Timon, the Ammonite. The king asked Timon, Timon went back and told the king, he said, look, king, if these people is obeying their God, you're going to lose. So the king got me, he said, what? I'm going to lose? I'm going to kill you. So Timon fled and he came to the Israelites. The priest took him. You can find that in the Apocrypha too. The priest took him, fed him, and, you know, sit him down and treated him well. Because he told right. He said right. You know what I'm saying? So when we doing right by the Most High, man, nothing to fear. The Most High is going to protect us. See, that's why we all shaky now, because you got this camp wrongdoing, this camp all right, this camp, we all scattered. We all doing different things, man. We all, it's like we got our school way of worshiping the Most High. So the Most High is going to come back, boom, come on, my people. No, we have to get it together. See, and that's what happened with Israel, see, back during the Babylonian period and back during the Assyrian period. See, back during the Egyptian period, the Greeks, the Romans, we've been in captivity for a long time. And I know we like to blame the enemies for it. Yeah, okay, you put the blame on the enemies. What Nebuchadnezzar was doing, that was from the Most High. And the kings had the prophet Jeremiah right there. Jeremiah was telling them, look, man, go ahead and serve King Nebuchadnezzar. Go ahead and serve him. But you know, Zedekiah was a young king. The young king said, oh man, you know, he's full of power. He's full of might. No, I ain't gonna serve this king, man. Well, I got an army back here too. You know, that's how we talk. Yeah, we got guns too. You know, let them come. You know, but you forget about the Most High though. You know, the Most High would raise the spirit up and he would break it down. See, but yeah, we'll put the blame on, the white man, the Babylonians, Nebuchadnezzar. Because what? They overdid it. In the book of Ezekiel, the scriptures say that Edom overpassed. It overdid. When our iniquities had an end, they kept on beating us down. See, the Most High gave them particulars. This is what you do. This, but don't overdo it. Now, when they overdo it, then the Most High have to punish them now. Because they was wicked anyway. They wasn't worshiping him. Because if you look at most of the Babylonian kings' names, Nebuchadnezzar, but there was a Nebuchadnezzar the first. The Nebuchadnezzar that we're talking about was Nebuchadnezzar the second. That's in the scriptures. Look at their names. Nebu, from their god. They had a god called Nabu. And this is another ruler named Marduk, Eva Merodach. You can find him in the scriptures. But this was another name of their god, Marduk. You see what I'm saying? And then all the way down to Belshazzar, the god Baalis, and they named Daniel Belteshazzar. Okay, all the way down Nebuchadnezzar, Nabu. There you go again. That's their gods. But one of the did everybody write this down, or we never got to that?
What?
This right here.
Almost done.
I'm gonna leave it up for about another 2 minutes. Okay, go ahead and read. Where we at? What verse?
3.
Come on.
Verse 3. How great are his signs, and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation.
Read the 4.
I, Nebuchadnezzar.
What did he say?
I,
Nebuchadnezzar. Read on.
Was at rest in mine house,
right, and
flourishing in my palace. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts upon my bed, and the visions of my head troubled me. You
hear what he said? I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in my house and flourishing in my palace.
Living
in my palace. See? And Babylon is where at today? Iraq. And I was looking at some stuff on Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein had stated that he was going to bring the spirit of Babylon back. And they were showing the palaces of Saddam Hussein. Man, this guy's bathroom, man, was bigger than his whole school.
It was gold.
And jacuzzis and all that. But as they was walking the tours through one of his palace, he had quite a few of them. There was graffiti, like Arab graffiti, you know, their language graffiti all on the walls. But in the ceiling, still had the little gold, you know, the little emblems and stuff, the pictures, you know, the beauty of it. And they had the steps, and it was chain off or wired off, so you couldn't go up there because there's something up there they don't want you to see. Yeah, but they were showing Saddam Hussein palaces, man. Yeah. And Nebuchadnezzar, when you read the history, like his walls had a lot of pure gold in it, man. And he was a builder. we're going to get a little bit into the Ishtar gate. So write that down, and if you can put it up, the Ishtar gate. Okay, that's one of the gates that he built. Blue glazed brick. And it had animals on the gates. Bulls and so forth. Lions to represent their gods. The Ishtar gate. Okay, what I give you, write it down, and next time I teach, we'll go over it. Write it down, go home, look it up. Okay? Let's continue to read.
From 5. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts upon my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. Therefore made I a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known unto me the interpretation of the dream.
What dream he's talking about? See, when we read on down, he's going to speak about another dream that he had about the large tree. Mm-hmm. What was the first dream?
About the statue.
About the statue. Okay. The statue, because Daniel broke it down to him that he was the head of gold. And then it broke down the Persians and the Medes, the Greeks, the Romans. Then it broke it all the way down to the legs, to the 10 toes, and then the Antichrist come out of that. So what Nebuchadnezzar was being shown was the time of the Gentiles. Because on that statue was the rulership of the Gentiles. From him all the way down to the Antichrist. Okay, that's the representation of that whole image. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's why he said, it made me afraid, I feared. And read on.
Then came,
go ahead.
Then came in the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers, and I told them the dream before, them, but they did not make known unto me the interpretation thereof.
And he told the dreams to the astrologers, soothsayers, all the warlocks. But they couldn't break that dream down, man, because the Most High is not with them. The dream came from the Most High, so who's going to balance out and explain the dream? One of the Most High's people, one of his prophets. And it was Daniel. Go ahead.
But at the last Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar.
See, he said whose name was Belteshazzar. Go ahead.
According to the name of my God.
He said, I gave him the name according to the name of my gods. See? Now, when you read about Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, were names according to his gods. See? Go ahead.
And in whom is the spirit of the holy gods.
And he said, this is a heathen king. And I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in him, but it's only one God. The spirit of the holy God is in him. Go ahead.
And before him I told the dream, right, saying, O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians.
He called Daniel the master of the magicians because he interpreted that first dream. So he said, this guy's a master even of my magicians. Because if you look at it, the Most High came to Nebuchadnezzar. He came to him before he struck Nebuchadnezzar down with his ailment, right. You know, his sickness, put the spirit on. He couldn't even reason no more. He couldn't even run his empire. He couldn't even run his kingdom no more. Good. But that was from being too proud. Mm-hmm. See, we had to go down because we was being too proud, boasting. Oh, who is the Lord? You know, yeah. He found out quick who he is. Okay, so early. The Most High spoke to Nebuchadnezzar 2 times before he brought that sickness up on him. The first time we read about when he spoke to him how? In that image. He showed him what's what. Okay, this is what's going down. This time of the Gentiles. Get yourself together, man. Then, now this is the Most High showed him that vision and speaking to him, and Daniel broke it down for him. Now he spoke to him the second time. So how did he speak to him the second time? He sent his son this time. He sent Yahushua. When did he do that? In the furnace of fire. when you go back to I think the second chapter or the third chapter. Yeah, the third chapter, when Nebuchadnezzar
Put them in the furnace.
put them in the furnace, and he looked, said, "Hey, I thought I put 4, but I thought I put 3, but it's a 4th one there." So the Most High spoke. Now he sent his son. See, that's how the Most High talk to people, man.
Warning.
You know, give you a warning. I mean, it's sometimes you may get a little hinge. I know I'm supposed to be doing. I know that ain't right. You know in your gut that it's not right, but you go and do it any damn way. That's the Most High's talking to you. Sometimes you'll have that feeling that it's an unusual feeling, and you know that it's coming from something else. It's coming from something that's not here. And you get that feeling, and you think about it for a long time. You think about it for a while. Wait a minute. And you got a decision to make. You make that wrong decision, you're going to have to pay for it. Yeah, so that's how the Most High deal with men, deal with people. Through visions, through dreams. You ain't got to come and sit and talk to you. He can send somebody to you. You know, to say something, you looking like, how in the hell you know, all the time we give one another power. That must be the Spirit. You know how we do. That must be the Spirit, brother. Yeah, but you go ahead on and do it anyway. Next thing, you come back next week, you all jacked up. Okay. Read on.
Because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee, and no secret troubleth thee.
Right.
Tell me the visions of my dream that I have seen, and the interpretation thereof.
Okay, now we're going to jump a little bit. Y'all read this chapter. Read it. Y'all read it. Go home and read it again. We're going to come back to it. See, we're going to be repetitious with these classes. We're going to keep doing them over and over and over again. Because the repetitious is what the hallmark of education. Okay, so I like to go over stuff over and over and over again until you get it. Especially the biblical history. I like to keep going into it. Remember when I was giving Alexander the Greek and all that, teaching that class? I think I went into it for about 3 weeks. Write it down. Give you your tests. I think I gave you 3 tests. You know, cause I'm repetitious with it. You know, I give it again to make sure you get it and make sure you know it. I mean, that's how Ariel was teaching the scriptures back in the days. He go into the scriptures, go into the basic scriptures. Isaiah 14:2. Okay, you got that, Brother Stamp? You got that? Next week, go right back into the same scripture until you get it. Until there's no doubt you got it. Okay? Because repetitious, the hallmark of education. We got to get this education in the biblical text, because you got many brothers sit on this podium and teach, and they go into different topics. It's good to know the history. Okay, Ben may go into a little bit of the herbs. Brothers may go into the history of the land, because, you know, we got brothers that have been there. And brothers may go into the gospel. Yahushua, you got to learn that too. And brothers, repetition with it. One brother may teach 1 week, another brother come and teach again and say, brother, I taught that. I didn't know. Oh, that's the Spirit. Remember what I said? See, it's all about what education, man. You keep going over, because when you teach, know a little bit about everything. The more you read, the more you'll have to talk about. Know a little bit about everything. Know a little bit about the herbs. Know a little bit about history. Know a little bit about the gospel. Know a little bit about the language and all that, man. Know a little bit about everything. So you at least have the basics of everything. You can go anywhere. Anywhere. Midwest, down south. You can go anywhere and set up. Because you got the basics of everything right there. Then when you open the scriptures and teach, you know, don't be afraid to say, well, I don't know, but I get back with you though. See, you get some scorners. You say you don't know, and they try to hide from you so you won't get back with them. Say, yeah, he didn't know, I got that. No. No, just say, I don't know, but I get back with you. Because somebody in here knows. Okay, read on.
Thus,
13th verse.
13th verse. Daniel chapter 3 verse 13. I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed.
Hold on for a minute. The 10th, 11th, and 12th verse is Nebuchadnezzar is breaking down this vision about the tree and so forth. And Daniel breaks it down and say, the tree is you. Nebuchadnezzar, you the tree, the leaves and so forth, your soldiers, your army, everybody's flourishing to you. Okay, the nations, the people. Read on 13.
I saw upon my bed, and behold, a watcher and a holy one came down from heaven.
It say a watcher and a holy one. What's a watcher?
An angel.
Show of hands.
Prophet.
What's a watcher?
An angel?
Well, you ask me or you telling me? I mean, which one is it?
Angels.
It's angel, okay. Be confident. Cause what they do, a watcher, what does a watcher do? He watch you. And he executes the Most High's will. It's a watcher and a holy one. So who do you think that holy one is? And I'll leave it at that. Yeah. Okay, the watchers and a holy one came down. Let's go to the book of Psalms. (103) 20 to 22.
Read that out.
The book of Psalms, 103 to 103rd Psalms, 20 to 22 verses.
Want me to read it?
20 verse, yeah, go ahead.
Psalms 103, verse, you said 20?
20 to 22.
20 to 22. Bless the Most High, ye his angels,
Go ahead.
that excel in strength, that do his commandments, hearkening unto the voice of his word.
Go ahead.
Bless ye the Most High, all ye his hosts, ye ministers of his, that do his pleasure.
That's the angels. The angels do the Most High's pleasure. They love to do the Most High's pleasure, man. They get a kick out of that. They love it. Whether it's good or you look at it as bad. Whether people live or whether they die. The angels get a kick out of executing the Most High's orders. They get a kick out of that. They love that. They love it. I was reading, I forget what book it was, but when the Most High created us, right, the Most High established the Sabbath. And when Israel started abandoning and breaking the Sabbath, the angels asked the Most High, because the angels respects the Sabbath now. Okay? The angels asked the Most High, hey, send us down to take vengeance on these people because of the Sabbath. Yeah, to show you how important the Shabbat, the Sabbath is. See? And we was breaking the Sabbath and so forth. The angels asked the Most High, let us go down and deal with these people. Take vengeance upon these people. And eventually, we paying for it. Breaking the Sabbath, breaking the different laws, we paying for it. We're living proof of what happened back in the past. We're living proof, man. Slavery and all that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Psalms?
I think the 22nd verse.
All right. Bless the Most High, all his works in all places of his dominion. Bless the Most High, O my soul.
Oh, my soul. Let's go to Revelation 4 and 8.
Wait till everybody got it.
Yeah, see if they got it. Revelation 4 and 8. Book of Revelation 4 and 8.
Ready?
Go ahead.
Revelation 4 verse 8. And the four beasts had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within. And they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 the Most High God, the Most High Yahweh Almighty, which was and is to come.
Okay, the brother spoke about that earlier in his class about the beasts, the angels. It said what? They had 6 wings about them. They were full of eyes. And those eyes is a representation of the past, the present, and the future, and prophecies. Okay, that's why it's full of eyes. They know everything, and they see everything. So they can see the past, right now what's going on, and the future. They got it all there. Okay, show you that the watchers, the holy ones, and the angels, and they're called different names as well. let's go to those different names. Colossians, let's go to the book of Colossians, the 1st chapter, and the 15th and the 16th verse. Then we go back to Daniel.
What's Colossians what?
The 1st chapter, 15th and the 16th verse.
First chapter. Colossians chapter 1 verse 15. Who is the image of the invisible power? The firstborn of every creature.
It said, who is the image of the invisible God, the power, the firstborn of every creature? You know who is that? Your house shop. Read on.
For by him were all things created.
All things were created for by him. Read on.
That are in heaven and that are in earth.
That are in heaven and that are in the earth. Read on.
Visible and invisible.
Invisible and invisible. Now you creating something that's invisible that you can't see. You gotta be terrible, man. You gotta be bad. Yeah. But it say, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. Go ahead.
Whether they be thrones.
It say, he said, the scripture say, for by him were all things created that are in heaven, that are in the earth, visible and invisible. It say, whether they be what?
Thrones.
Thrones.
Or dominions.
Or dominions. Now, these are different names for the angelic beings.
Right.
You got angelic beings that are called thrones. They got many different names. You got some that are called dominions. I have a book. Should I tell you? Yeah, I got a book on angels and demons from A to Z. And they got their names there. Start with A, got the names D. They got dominions in there. They have thrones in there as angelic beings. Okay, go ahead.
Or principalities.
You got angels that are called principalities. Go ahead.
Or powers.
And they are called powers. Go ahead.
All things were created by him and for him.
Read 17.
And he is before all things. And by him all things consist.
Let's go back to Daniel 4. So those are the different names of the watchers. You got the watchers. You got, most I call them beasts, seraphim, cherubims. Yeah, you got different, and look, you got different levels of the angelic beings too. Me and the brother was outside talking, and he was talking about the book of Daniel when one of the brothers said that he needed help. And he called for the angels, and the angels said he got to go back and fight against the prince of Persia, which is the angelic one of Persia. Okay, because the system that we live in, the world that we live in, who's controlling it? Right, angelic beings is controlling it. We're not controlling anything. You think we control? No, the angelic force is controlling this world. Controlling you. Controlling your thoughts. Angelic beings. They go under these different names and they have different levels. Okay? Let's go back into Daniel. Read
What's in?
the 13th verse again.
I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher, and an holy one came down from heaven.
Read the 14th.
He cried aloud and said thus, hew down the tree and cut off his branches.
Now who said this?
The watcher and the holy one.
The angels, the watchers. Now, where did they get their orders from?
The Most High.
The Most High. So in this dream, they actually said, cut down the tree. The tree was in that vision, the tree was who? Nebuchadnezzar. So this is the time when Nebuchadnezzar got to give up that kingdom. He has to fall now. But when we read on down, when the scriptures say leave a stock with brass and iron wrapped around it, his kingdom wouldn't be totally destroyed. Okay, the Most High would bring him back like he brought King Manasseh, the king of Judah. Y'all ever read about him? That was Hezekiah's son. Hezekiah was all right, a good king of Judah. But his son was wicked as hell, Manasseh. Manasseh was sending his own son through the fire of Molech, sacrificing the kids. Okay, yeah, sacrificing. doing all this inside the temple, all types of stuff, wicked stuff was going on with him inside the temple. And this Hezekiah's son. But Manasseh was taken to prison to Babylon. And he was doing time in Babylon, and he cried out to the Most High. You can read his prayer in the prayer of Manasseh in the Apocrypha. And the Most High got him out of prison and set him back on his throne. So whether he ruled for 55 years, now whether those the majority of those years came as he sit on the throne and started ruling right, because they could have been before, because he was wicked.
Right.
Then when he came back in the history, it said that he destroyed all the sacrificial sites, all the idol sites. He destroyed them all. That's in the history. So he was trying to do the right thing. So that's probably why the Most High set him back, and he ruled 55 years. Okay, because he repented and cried out to the Most High, and the Most High let him out of a Babylonian prison and sent him back and set on his throne. You had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just saying that he's the king that sawed Isaiah in half.
Yeah, he killed the prophet Isaiah.
Manasseh?
Yeah, Manasseh, King Manasseh. And his grandfather, Hezekiah's father, was wicked, Ahaz.
Yeah.
So see how that go? Well, my father wicked, I'm right. My son wicked. Then you go on down the line, all the way down the line to Josiah. Good king, but his sons, they all was wicked. And his sons were the last 4 kings when Jerusalem was destroyed, the southern kingdom. Okay? Now, when the Assyrians took the northern kingdom captive, the northern kingdom never received an edit, right? Never received like written permission to enter back into the land. They never went back. But the southern kingdom, they received an edit to go back into the land.
Right.
Now, who gave them permission to go back in the land, the southern kingdom, when they came out of the Babylonian Empire? Who gave them permission to enter back into the land? What king and what nation?
Darius.
Who?
Darius. Yeah, Persian.
Go up a little bit. Who was over Darius? Cyrus II. He gave them permission to enter back into the land. The northern kingdom didn't receive that, but the southern kingdom received it. And when the Babylonians took over the southern kingdom, Judah became a Babylonian province. It was called H.O.D.C. You write this down. What I'm writing down, you go look it up now. Y'all ever heard of Gedaliah in the scriptures? Gedaliah, right? He was the governor of that area. And some of the Israelites got together, merged, and they assassinated him. They killed him. He wasn't a king, he was a governor. Now when you read about Zerubbabel, Zerubbabel wasn't a king. What was he? A governor. Because after King Zedekiah, the line of kings stopped right there. You had no more kings. Judah lost their independence. See, there was no more independence when the southern kingdom of Judah fell. That was the end of the independence. But then throughout the history, they was kind of coming back, get a little independence here, a little independence there, but for us as a whole nation. Because the northern kingdom went down first, and then the southern kingdom, that was it. Right, you got something on that, Ben? Okay. What verse did we stop in?
We stopped in 14.
And you know what, before we go into that, everybody write this down if you don't have it.
Take a picture of it if you can't write it. Take a picture of it.
Okay, yeah, because I'm going to erase it, I'm going to write something else. Get ready to erase now.
Wait.
Take a picture of it. Take a picture of it.
Who said wait? I'm not. You better take a picture. I'm not gonna wait on y'all. Y'all just stepped in the door too.
I can put a link to all this information in the video.
Okay.
Using technology, using technology. Let it work for you, let technology work for
Yeah,
you.
let it work. Cause I'm getting ready to write something else. Now these are the Babylonian kings ruled Babylon. Everybody heard of Hammurabi? Raise your hand. What was he known for?
Building. Oh, sorry.
He ruled Babylon as well. Let me write his name down. Okay. What was he known for? You said building?
Building.
What else?
The code of Hammurabi.
The code of law. The code of Hammurabi.
Yeah, okay.
The code of law. What I'm giving you, go write it down and come back, look it up, come back and let's talk. Let's break bread. And he was an Amorite. Got it? Now during Hammurabi's time, the god Marduk became the most powerful god during his rulership. Marduk. So it seemed like Nebuchadnezzar, his father and so forth, Nebuchadnezzar, they got their worshiping their gods from what Hammurabi was doing. Okay? And you had Nabu. Became an important deity under Hammurabi. Nebuchadnezzar, Nabopolassar, Nabonidus. Okay? Now, it also said that all the feminine deities, all the feminine gods, the female gods, all the feminine gods lost their status during the rule of Hammurabi. So there wasn't no feminine deities. Okay? All right, so let's jump back into the scriptures. Well, I want to write down one when we was talking about the Assyrians. Y'all ever read about Ashurbanipal, one of the Assyrian kings? Y'all know about Shalmaneser?
Yeah, Shalmaneser.
What about Tiglath-Pileser? That's in the Book of Kings. Tiglath-Pileser, y'all heard of him? Yeah. What about Sennacherib?
Yeah.
Sennacherib. Right. That's they in the scriptures. And the Babylonian king that I wrote down, Evil-Merodach, is in the book of Jeremiah. See, the history of a lot of these kings is right in the scriptures. So the Bible is really, what is it?
History.
A history book. Right.
Timelines.
So Ashurbanipal, when you look him up, it said that he was one of the greatest Assyrian kings. And they speak about his great library. Okay, one of his things was studying nations, studying the world, books. That's what he loved. And he dies in 627 BC. And when he died, his two sons was battling over the kingdom. And that's how Babylon was able to get in there to take one of the sons out, and then eventually took over the Assyrians, and Egypt got involved and so forth. Okay, what I was giving you led us to Daniel the 4th chapter. From Ashurbanipal's death, his two sons, and Nebuchadnezzar's father, Nabopolassar. Okay? So Ashurbanipal, Died 627 BC. He was known for his great library, and he was one of the last of the great Assyrian king. And what was in his library, y'all ever heard the Epic of Gilgamesh?
Gilgamesh.
You heard about that, right? Let me write it down. Y'all go look it up. That was in the library, which consists of a lot of Mesopotamian poems and stuff like that. Okay? Now, just imagine, you know, a lot of times when you read this history, when you read it, whether it's in the scriptures or whether it's in the other books, kind of put yourself in what you're reading. Because when Nebuchadnezzar, the final takedown of the southern kingdom of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar comes up to the gates of Jerusalem. He didn't come up with about 20 homeboys or 30 or 50. If you look out at the land, the whole land was full of army, like the sands of the sea. And that's fear. You'll be afraid, man. And what he did, he cut off the food supply in Jerusalem, cut off the water supply. You understand? Yeah. He cut that off, and now Judah is trying to engage in battle now. But they hungry. They thirsty. I don't care how strong you are, how tall you are, or how bad you claim to be. Hunger affects everybody. I don't care if you're a top soldier, good fighter, but hunger affects everybody. So he cut off the food supply. So now, guess what happened? Dead bodies, it's all over the city. And by those dead bodies, what come from the dead bodies if they're not buried? Diseases. And when you read in Lamentations, let's go to Lamentations 4th chapter real quick. See, when we read the scriptures, go into the history and understand why Jeremiah was lamented in writing these things, because this was actually taking place.
4 verse.
Jeremiah, the 4th chapter, 4th verse to the 13th, book of Lamentations.
Lamentations chapter 4 verse 4. The tongue of the suckling child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth for thirst. The young children ask bread, and no man breaketh it unto them.
Yeah, because Jerusalem is under siege. I mean, how you going to feed a child or feed somebody and then you hungry yourself? They always in the same basket. It's like they didn't deliberately neglect the children, they just didn't have anything. And now your life is on the line now. Go ahead. 5. They that did feed delicately are desolate in the streets. They that were brought up in scarlet embrace dunghills. Right. For the punishment of the iniquity of the daughter of my people is greater than the punishment of the sin of Sodom, that was overthrown as in a moment, and no hand stayed on her. Right. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. Ain't there something? They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. You don't want to starve to death. Okay, kill me. Take me out now. I mean, that's what you know, the easy way. Yeah, you take me out now. Go ahead. For these, because look, you remember in the Kings when there was a famine, when the Israelites, the women was eating their own kids and so forth. You remember that, right? Yeah. So I mean, hunger. When you're hungry, that affects your thinking and it affects your mind as well. Okay, when you're hungry. Okay, and that's going to take place in our time as well, man. Famine, hunger. So what you think gonna happen? Wars, different communities at war, fighting, killing, blood being spilled, and a nigga can't eat. What you think he gonna do?
Kill.
Yeah, they can eat now, but look at what they're doing now. But just imagine if nothing's there, you can't get anything. What you gonna do? Go ahead.
For these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people.
Read that again. That goes into the book of Kings. Read it again.
The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children.
Sodden their own children. Remember when we do the Passover, it say don't sodden it and so forth. Okay, they cook their own children.
Well, that's what the sodden is called.
Yep. Made gravy, huh? Read on.
They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people.
Go ahead.
The Most High hath accomplished his fury.
See, what the Most High has accomplished his fury. See, when things like this happen, the Most High is like, okay, I done accomplished my fury. Okay, my anger's passed over now. And that's his anger. What happened to Israel when lives are being lost, when Israel is suffering the way they suffering. Okay, look at slavery, the castrations, the rape, the murders. That was the Most High's fury. But now we got to go back and look at what we did, though. You know, we wasn't good people. We still aren't good people. We're not nice people. Look at what we're doing to the Most High today. Go ahead and read.
The Most High hath accomplished his fury. He hath poured out his fierce anger, and hath kindled a fire in Zion, and it hath devoured the foundations thereof. The kings of the earth and all the inhabitants of the world would not have believed that the adversary and the enemy should have entered into the gates of Jerusalem.
Yeah, because the type of people we were, man, the enemies are like, man, I can't believe this. Even today, people look at that, that's them. That's
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man. Man, go ahead. Because the people over in other countries know exactly who we are. Okay, some countries teach us in their schools. Yeah, we over here don't know. You know, they're not gonna let us have that. They're gonna conceal it from you. Okay, there was a time a brother was telling me, I think it was one of the elders was saying he was in this Chinese store, and the Chinese was telling him about, yeah, know your people, the Israelites, and this and that. And then he said, well, why haven't you been telling them that they the Israelites? Chinese looked at him and said, it's not my job. He said, it's not my job to tell them. So nobody else, no other nation is going to teach our people but the nation of Israel. That's our job to do that. We have to teach our own people. Nobody else is going to teach. Okay, Chinese not going to teach you. You know, you the Hebrew, you God chosen people. Then when you get in power, you going to come after. No, they ain't going to teach you that. They're not going to teach you that. They don't want you to know. They hope you don't get it. Go ahead.
For the sins of her prophets.
See, for the sins of her prophets. What prophets? You mean telling the prophets were sinners? Daniel or Ezekiel, that's what it's talking about? No, it's the wicked prophets, because they had prophets back then that they wanted those type of prophets to prophesy good things to them. Now when Daniel and the prophet Michael and the rest of the prophets came and prophesied their downfall, remember the king Ahab of the northern kingdom? He had him killed. Him and his wife Jezebel. Okay, read on.
For the sins of her prophets and the iniquities of her priests that have shed the blood of the just in the midst of her.
So you know they wicked prophets and priests. Let's go back to Daniel. Yeah, go ahead.
When it says that Nazareth was darker because of the famine, when black people are in famine, they get darker. They just get darker when you're in famine.
Yeah.
For white people, when they're in famine, they turn pale. They don't get black.
Okay.
14 in Daniel?
Where did we stop at? 14?
Yeah. When we start at the top?
Yeah, stop at the top in 14.
Daniel chapter 4 verse 14. He cried aloud and said thus hew down the tree and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves and scatter his fruit. Let the beasts get away from under it and the fowls from its branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of his roots in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet be with the beasts in the grass of the earth.
So the Most High is showing Nebuchadnezzar, you coming down, but you're not going to be through. Okay, I'm going to sustain your kingdom. The Most High just wanted to teach him that, look, you can't be proud. The Most High wanted to get at him because of his pride, and then bring him back. Now, if y'all read Daniel the 4th chapter, down in the 30, I think from the 34th verse all the way down, he's praising the Most High. Because the Most High brought him back and restored him to his kingdom. He couldn't even run his kingdom. He couldn't even reason. He wasn't cleaning himself, and fingernails and got all hair and grew beard all wild. So he was unable to run his kingdom. So he had to have a regent, someone to sit in to run the kingdom for him. Okay, go ahead.
Let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him.
Right, he lost total control, all knowledge of reasoning. I mean, how can you sit in the council with a man thinking like that, man? You talking about going to war, you talking about running the nation. Go ahead.
And let 7 times pass over him. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. Okay,
so that's why the Most High is doing it. It said this decree is by the decree of the watchers. So all the decrees that you see out here, even in your life, is done by a council of angelic beings. Okay, with the Most High orchestrated. Remember in the book of Kings with Ahab, the Most High was having a council with the host of angels up in the spirit realm, and then one spirit came forth. So it is counsel taken on whether you should live or die, or whether you succeed or not, or whether a child shall be born or not. Okay, who gonna run this? Who gonna rule this? All that is taking place first in the spirit realm. Even your thoughts comes from the spirit realm first before it gets to you, because it's already decreed that okay, he gonna go and shoot up that school. Okay, cool. It's already decreed from the spirit realm first. Yeah. Now let's jump to the 19th verse.
Daniel chapter 4 verse 19. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for 1 hour. Astonished for 1 hour. Right. And his thoughts troubled him.
Now, why was Daniel... Now the king explained the dream to Daniel. Now Daniel's getting ready to break this dream down. Now why was Daniel astonished? And why was his thoughts troubled for about an hour?
Because he knew he had to give the king bad news.
And then if you give a king bad news, what's going to happen?
He might kill you.
Right, so that's how Daniel's thinking, man. Because you don't want to, look. Now when he gave him, when he explained the vision of the image,
right? It was,
he gave that to him. Nebuchadnezzar, okay, yeah, right on. But now this tree,
cut down.
right. You get ready to lose your kingdom. Daniel was like, man, I know about the other prophets was killed for bringing bad news. Yeah, I know we went to Most High, but yeah, we can die. See, now listen what Daniel tell him. Read on.
The king spake and said, Belteshazzar, let not the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble thee.
He said, look, let not the dream or the interpretation trouble you, man. Tell me, what's up with this dream? Go ahead.
Belteshazzar answered and said, my lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies.
So Daniel said, look, king, the dream is really for your enemies. Because what I'm going to tell you that you're going to fall, they're going to be happy, not you. so the dream is for the ones that hate you. It's for your enemies. So when I break it down, the tree is going to be cut down, and so the enemies is going to rejoice. It's for them, not you. So go ahead. Jump from there. Jump to. Now, when we read from the 20th verse all the way down, Daniel is given the interpretation of the dream, who the tree is and all that. Y'all read that, so go home, read it again. Jump to the 26th verse.
26. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee.
See what Daniel said? This stump is going to be left, and Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom is going to be secure. Okay, he's not going to totally lose the kingdom. Now, when he get right, he's coming back and he's going to rule again. Okay, but he's unable, he's unfit to rule. Read on.
After that, thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule.
Right, go ahead.
Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness.
See, Daniel's telling them, look, you have to break off your sins. You have to do right. Accept this vision and get yourself together and do right. Read on.
And thine iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility.
Read the next one.
All this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon.
Now, listen to this. This is pride right here. Go ahead.
The king spake and said, is not this Babylon that I have built?
That I have built. Read on.
For the house of the kingdom by the might of my power.
By the might of my power. Read on.
And for the honor of my majesty.
Of my majesty, his gods. Okay, now, reading the history of Nebuchadnezzar, what was he known for? The who? Well, okay, we just read that. What was he known for building? Okay, you said the 7 wonders. What? Come on.
I'm gonna say the same thing. 4 stars.
What was one of the 7 wonders?
His garden.
His garden. Nebuchadnezzar was known for the hanging gardens. Okay, because what happened? Let me write this down. Nebuchadnezzar. Y'all got this right. Y'all got all this right? Yeah. Okay. Nebuchadnezzar was known for his hanging gardens. Now, what happened is Nebuchadnezzar's father was Nebuchadnezzar. And when Nebuchadnezzar, that's me. Yeah. When Nebuchadnezzar, when Nebuchadnezzar's father, when he merged with the Medes, he merged with a king called H.O.D.C. Y'all write this? Write this down and go look it up. And they began to attack the Assyrians and the Egyptians. H.O.D.C. Write that down and go look him up. A Median king, Nebuchadnezzar, made a treaty and an alliance with him. Now that treaty, with that alliance, was that Nebuchadnezzar would give H.O.D.C. his son. His son was the crown prince Nebuchadnezzar, and H.O.D.C. H.O.D.'s daughter was the princess. Her name was H.O.D.C. Yeah. Go look that up.
All right.
Go look it up. H.O.D.C. Now, Nebuchadnezzar's and his wife, H.O.D.C, she was a Mede. Now, she went with Nebuchadnezzar to Babylon. And she was homesick because Mede had like the mountains and the beautiful flowers and so forth. So what Nebuchadnezzar did was he simulated or imitated mountains and the beautiful flowers in Babylon, because Babylon was flat. See, but in the Media had the mountains and the beautiful flowers, and she wanted to go back to the area of the Medes. So Nebuchadnezzar, for his wife, he built what is called the Hanging Gardens. And I'm going to write this down, the Hanging Gardens.
It's already established.
He built the Hanging Gardens, okay? And that was the reason for building it, right? Okay. Now, I wrote another one, the Ishtar Gate. Go look that up too.
Blue glazed brick.
It was constructed in 575 BC. Y'all got all this? Okay. And this gate is dedicated to the Babylonian goddess Ishtar. Okay? And they got this in the Berlin in the Pergamon Museum. Okay, at least some of it.
What?
The Ishtar Gate. Go look it up. Write it down, Google it. Whatever I'm giving you, you go check it out. Huh?
What museum is that?
The museum in Berlin called the Pergamon Museum in Berlin. Okay? And then on the gate, when you look it up, the gate is like glazed blue bricks. And it got all types of animals like bulls, lions, symbolizing the god Marduk, Hadad, and Ishtar. Okay, let's finish reading the scripture. This text message is going off. What verse we stopped at?
We stopped at 31.
Okay, read on.
Daniel chapter 4, verse 31. While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee.
Okay, right then and right there. And this happened to another king in the New Testament, King Agrippa. As he was speaking, putting himself on the same level of the Most High struck him right there at that moment. King Agrippa. Go check it out. Read on.
And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will.
So this 7 times is 7 years. But the Babylonians record it as 4 years because they only count 2 seasons. They count winter and summer. Okay, so if you read in Nebuchadnezzar's writings, he writes about his sickness. And he writes 4 years. And he writes about his palaces and all that. I mean, you can find it in the museum, in the British Museum. You can find that in, I'll get the name for you later, but it's a museum here in New York. You can find a lot of Nebuchadnezzar's writings and so forth. You know, his cuneiforms. Okay? Go ahead and read.
The same hour.
To jump to the 34th verse.
34. Daniel chapter 4, verse 34. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar.
What it say?
I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me.
See, you see what's happening? He said, after this sickening overpassed, after he got his reasoning back, now he said, and what? And at the end of days, he said, what? I, Nebuchadnezzar. Read on.
Lifted up mine eyes unto heaven.
Unto heaven. So was he lifting his eyes up to heaven for Marduk or Ishtar? Nabu? What God was he?
The Most High.
The Most High. Go ahead.
And mine understanding returned unto me.
See, so we got an idea of what was wrong with him. See, his understanding, his sense of reasoning. He couldn't run a kingdom in his condition. So he said his understanding returned to him. See, now, after Nebuchadnezzar, I gave you all the other kings of Babylon, all the way down to Nebuchadnezzar. Now, Nebuchadnezzar was a king that was always on expeditions. And he was into the worship of his mother's gods. And he was always out building temples and building temples for his mother's god. Now, the rest of the people in Babylon was like looking at this guy because he wasn't worshiping the gods that they worship, like Nabu and all these other gods, Marduk. But he was worshiping the gods of his mother. And he was always out. That's why Belshazzar, his son, took over the rulership. And the kingdom was taken under his son. But Nebuchadnezzar came back and tried to defend the kingdom, and after 3 years, he lost the kingdom. Okay? Now, the history tells you when Cyrus came in, that the Babylonian people took Cyrus. Well, when he came in, Cyrus went to the Babylonian temples where they sacrificed, and he bowed down to the Babylonian gods. And the Babylonians loved him. They began to love him. They accepted Cyrus the Persian. And Nebuchadnezzar ended up being killed. They didn't want him back. But when Cyrus came in as the enemy to take them, they embraced him. Because he went and sacrificed to the gods. You know, that's what some of the enemies do when they come. I think, didn't Alexander do that, Ben? Is Ben still here? They sacrificed to the people that they conquering, sacrificed to their gods, and the people embraced him. So that's what Cyrus did. And he got love from Babylon. And he got love from the Most High too for admitting the southern kingdom to go back into Jerusalem. Because when you read in the book of Isaiah, in Isaiah 44, well, 43, 44, and 45, the Most High calls Cyrus my shepherd, Cyrus my anointed, and Cyrus the righteous man. And this is a man from another nation. But the Most High was looking at what he would set him up to do. Okay, let the Israelites come back into their land and build my temple. Okay, set their temple back up. Okay, go ahead and read.
Lord, 34. And I blessed the Most High, and I praised and
where you at now?
34.
Okay, start over again.
Yeah. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High.
He did what?
And I blessed the Most High.
Now, who was this guy? King Nebuchadnezzar. So when the Most High put a behind whipping on you, you're going to get it right. I don't care who you are, what nation. I mean, you can be an atheist. And I remember Marshall, when he was in the military, okay, the battle was going on. Bombs and so forth. Marshall said that he knew this Edomite white guy was an atheist. When the battle, the bombs, boom, 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 he said he heard this guy calling on the Most High, oh God, oh Lord. Right? So the Most High can make a non-believer believe in him, or atheist, or accept God. You know, go ahead. So the Most High put something on you, man, like he did Holofernes. When he went back, he said, look, this is who you send. You can send a traitor or somebody that you hate. That's who you send to rock this temple. Don't send me. But leave them Israelites alone. I won't go back. He tried to send him back. He said, no, I'm not going back. This is who you send, a traitor or somebody that you don't like. Go ahead.
And I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation.
You know, because when you look at Israel, the Most High got Israel set up. They very unique, do unique things. The dress code is very different. I mean, the priests, the ancient priests, was nice, sharp, man. When Alexander the Greek went in and took Jerusalem. They showed him. They showed him in the book. Yeah, you was going to be that guy. And he spared them, man.
Wow.
Because how the priests came towards him. A lot of the heathen kings went into Jerusalem and met the priests. And they said, man, I ain't never met no no priest like this. And I never understood this God.
Wow.
Jeremiah. Now, when Nebuchadnezzar took Jerusalem, he started knocking the walls down. Remember what I was telling you, that he came before Jerusalem, and his army was like the sands of the sea, man. And Israel was already suffering from hunger, thirst. Children and people dying. They weren't even burying their bodies. Diseases running rampant. And you know us, it was probably a little conflict inside the gates too. So Nebuchadnezzar appears, cuts the water and food and everything off. And Zedekiah, who's supposed to have been our king, right? Zedekiah flees at night with some of his army. Ran and gets away, but the Babylonians catch us behind though. And they deal with it. Remember what they did to him in the book of Kings? Took his eyes out. No, they killed his sons before him and then took his eyes out. And that's all he remembered. My sons being killed before me and they took my eyes out. I can't, yeah. So Nebuchadnezzar started shooting them arrows, man. He had infantry, he had the archers, and he had his army. And the archers were shooting them arrows. When you look in the sky, it's like the sky was raining arrows. And when them arrows was going over the walls, they was hitting people. People just dropping. More dead bodies in Jerusalem. And you had some of the brothers, they was on the walls trying to fight back, but they hungry, they weak. And Nebuchadnezzar started hitting the walls. Bang! You know, with the battle ram. Knocked the walls down. They said the Babylonians ran through, just started grabbing people by the head, chopping their necks off, men, women, and children. Yeah. The fall of Jerusalem, 586 BC. And after Nebuchadnezzar took them, taking them captive, it said the Israelites chained up, they had their heads down. And they had their harps. You know, they musical instruments with them. Remember the scripture where it says sing us one of those songs? They said, how can we sing a song in a strange land? Yeah, because they carry their instruments. Okay, so when Nebuchadnezzar did that, his captain of the guard came in, Nebu. That's that god name again, Nebuzaradan. Y'all read about him, right? Nebuzaradan was the commanding captain that came in and he did the cleanup work. He said, raise it to the ground. And they ripped Jerusalem, man. They burnt the Most High's house, which was the temple. They burnt all the nobles, all the great men's house, burnt their houses. Yep. So that's what you do. You take out the nobles first. What do the scriptures say we're going to do? It said bind their nobles with chains and fetters of iron. It didn't say get this guy that's living on the Bowery. No, it said bind their nobles. Didn't it say that? It said the nobles, right? So that's what they did. The Babylonians. All the nations, they get the nobles first. See, because they're going to use them. Yeah. And when they came in, they raised it to the ground, took the captives, and just tore the city up, man. But Nebuchadnezzar's captain, Nebuzaradan, guess who he went to? Who was the prophet at that time? Jeremiah. He went to Jeremiah. He said, look, Jeremiah, you can either come to Babylon with us, with the rest of the people, you can stay here. See, because it's going to be a different treatment with the prophets. See, because all the leaders know the prophets. Now, some of the prophets were killed and so forth, but some of the prophets were treated, okay, we got respect for this man. We know you're a man of your God. We know that. You want to go to Babylon with us, or you want to stay here? Yeah, there was the choice that was given to Judah. They didn't kill him. They didn't even put a chain on him. But his own people wanted to put a chain on him, but the enemy didn't even put a chain on him. Gave him a choice. Gave him an opportunity. What do you want to do, Jeremiah? We know you're a prophet of God. Finish reading.
Verse 35, Daniel chapter 4. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. And he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth.
Now who's speaking?
Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar, man. Read on.
And none can stay his hand, or say unto him, what doest thou?
So he know better than anybody. Go ahead.
At the same time, my reason returned unto
See,
me.
Nebuchadnezzar said, at the same time, my reason returned unto me. Read on.
And for the glory of my kingdom, mine honor and brightness return unto
He
me.
said, now for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and my brightness return unto me. He got back right. Read on.
And my counselors and my lords sought unto me.
So his counselors and his lords have fled. They stepped from him, man. This guy's bugging out, man. You need to go over in this house and stay until you get right. We have to run this kingdom. Go ahead.
And I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me.
See, he was established again in his kingdom. Read on.
Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven.
Who?
The King of heaven.
He said, now I who? Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor who?
The King of heaven.
Most High of heaven. Go ahead.
All whose works are truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride, he is able to abase.
Because he's living proof. That's why he's speaking like this, man. I mean, you got Nebuchadnezzar speaking in the book of Daniel, the 4th chapter. Come on. And I'm going to close with this.
You know, I just want to say, because, you know, chapter 4, that's in 3, remember when he had Shadrach, when he said, when he had the sound of the flute, the harp, and all kind of music, he told Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I don't worship the God he set up, right? They said no.
No.
He said, even if I got no. So then as it goes on, after when he's, like when you said earlier, you said, he could have sworn I threw 3 in there, but I see 4, and the 4 is the Son of God, right?
Right.
Then when it went on, he said after that, he said, when he woke up the next day and he saw, he said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego come hither. And then he said, we will praise your God. So now you're saying that's why he praised him now.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I mean,
With all this that went on with him, and then now you see that they God is real.
yeah, if I was on the other side, I'd praise him too, man. You see something like that?
Yeah, and you too.
Yeah, because when Nebuchadnezzar, when he had his dream, the first dream, he called the magicians and the astrologers, the Chaldees, the soothsayers, right? And he asked, could any interpret this dream? And he said, if you can't, I'm gonna break you in half, or what he was talking about, you know, tie them up to trees and so forth and split them. Okay, and their life was in jeopardy until Daniel came on the scene. See, because that fear, that's what the kings use, fear, man. I mean, their word is bond.
Right.
It's nothing comes behind their word. Okay, and Nebuchadnezzar, if you read about the kings, Nebuchadnezzar was a builder, Ashurbanipal, great library, always reading, studying the history of the other nations and so forth. The Egyptian pharaohs, always reading, studying, always building, you know, because they wanted their kingdom to look better than the next kingdom. Okay, and the king have gold all on his doors. Doorknob is gold. You're walking on golden floors. Buildings all gold, because the king wants you to meet him before you meet him. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, because when you see all this, just like Solomon, when the Queen of Sheba came to Solomon, she said, oh, the servants, your servants are very happy. And she thought one of the servants was Solomon. Yeah, that's how decked.
Right.
And that's how wise and good Solomon was treating his servants, man. They was ready. And they was happy to be under Solomon. Yeah. And the Queen of Sheba, oh man, she was lost. Faint-hearted, man. She lost her thoughts, breath. She said, everything I've heard is true. Breathing, holding our product. Everything I heard is true.
And in scripture it said that her spirit left her.
The spirit, yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, she was so amazed that her spirit left her.
That's crazy. She hyperventilated.
Yeah, because you can't
Take all that in.
be a ruler like that, and before people meet you, they have to kind of see some of you.
The splendor.
Yeah, a splendor. They have to see the glory of you.
Good.
even in our wickedness, you know, brothers try to do that. You know, if they in the game or what have you, they in the streets or they drugs or what have you. You know, or the pimps, so they got on the fur coats and shoes, you know, with a gator head on it and all that. You know, when you walking by, you know, yeah, I know. You know, you already know what it is. Yeah, so you know what they're about, you know, before you even, okay, yeah, I know such and such. Because they want you to see that. They want you to see their big brains and stuff. They want you to see the scepter. Yeah, they want you to see all that, the monies.
What she saw was actually the majesty of the Most High, because it was made on the Most High blueprint.
Right.
Solomon was sitting in it.
Yeah.
So she actually saw the Most High before she saw Solomon.
Yeah.
Saw the splendor of the Most High.
Yeah. You know, that's just a negative that I was throwing out. But yeah, she saw.
Yeah. She saw the
splendor and the glory of the Most High.
Told her to put.
But that was just a low level compared to the spirit realm. Or compared to the future kingdom. Yeah, because the scriptures say that in John's vision that he saw the New Jerusalem coming down from the spirit realm from heaven, you know, which it was coming down. The kingdom on earth is going to be it's going to be a replica of the kingdom up there, the spirit realm. Because when you say your prayer, you say, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. So yeah, that New Jerusalem is going to come down. It's going to be an imitation of the kingdom on earth is going to be an imitation of the Most High's kingdom, not a whole city going to come out the sky. It was a vision. It was a vision. Okay, so that was what John was explaining. Is going to be an example, a replica of how the Most High got things set up. The same orders and everything, man.